Smart has been on a crusade to educate law enforcement and parents on how to keep kids safe. This after his daughter Elizabeth was taken from their home in Utah in 2002 and found safe 9 months later. She was just 14 years old when she disappeared. 2 people were charged in the kidnapping. One of them pleaded guilty in the kidnapping and will be sentenced in May. The other person police say is involved in the case is still undergoing competency hearings. And Elizabeth's father, Ed Smart, has since become an advocate for child safety. He joins me now in the studio, and we're going to tell you about a special event where you can attend tonight, too. Mr. Smart, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here with you.
First off, how's Elizabeth?
You know, Elizabeth is doing incredibly well. I mean, I would say it's the best case scenario. She's, currently serving an LDS mission in France, and we had an email from her yesterday, and she just is loving life and really enjoying the opportunity of talking with people.
I have to ask you, in the 9 months when she went missing, did you ever lose hope?
You know, I think that we didn't lose hope. That's not to say we didn't have doubts, because there certainly were, but I kept on having this impression that she was still out there and we had to find her. And I remember specifically one time I'd been on the phone with John Walsh, and he had told me what he had gone through and what I should try to do and trying to move forward with life, because I think that's one of the hardest things is when parents lose their children. It brings them to a standstill. I mean, they don't know how they can move forward without them, and certainly we felt that way. And when Elizabeth came home, it was just one of the joyous moments. It was the joyous moment of life.
Could you tell us a little bit about that moment? What were you doing when you heard that she was found safe?
Well, I didn't hear. The police called us and told us that they wanted me, not Lois, but me to come down to one of the police stations in the valley, and I headed out there, and they said, it was one of those calls. You were on an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you heard about a body, you heard about bones, you heard every story out there, and it just put you on this emotional tailspin. And I got out there, and the officer that I'd worked with said, Ed, we think that we found Elizabeth. And I will never forget the moment when that door opened and I saw her sitting there on the sofa. And I couldn't believe how much she had matured and grown in 9 months. It just didn't seem possible. And the overwhelming joy and just the miracle of having her come back. And that's what we want every parent to have happen. And we've got to take every measure possible to help these families get their children back.
And let's talk about that, because now you're on this mission to keep kids safe.
Yes.
Can you give us some things that you talk about and you want to come into play in keeping kids safe?
Absolutely. I think that all parents, there's a program I've become very sold on called RAD Kids. It stands for Resist Aggression Defensively. And if you go on to radkids.org, you can click on Wisconsin and see where there are instructors that have been trained in this program. But to me, it empowers our children. When you talk about abduction, sexual assault, or any of these issues, it's a nightmare. It's something you never want to have your children go through. I think a lot of us, feel like, we hear about these horrible things. How do we change those lives? How do we keep our children away from this? I don't even want to deal with it is the main thought. But really, if we can help empower our children and help them understand that nobody has the right to hurt them, they don't have the right to hurt anyone else, and it's okay to tell. To me, those are 3 things. Those are the 3 principles that the Rad Kids program is based on, and I feel like it gives them a fighting chance. I think that the program is based on not just telling, but teaching. When you think about the Green Bay Packers, they haven't become the force to be reckoned with without practice, and our children have to have that same thing. They're what I would term life skills that can change the dynamic of a child's life. When Elizabeth went missing, I just became so aware of other children, whether it was abduction, sexual assault, these ugly things of life that can absolutely cripple their lives. And, at that point is not the time to be teaching them. We have to teach them beforehand. And so to me, that is one thing that I just push and push. Our the Surviving Parents Coalition, which I'm the president of, has put together a comprehensive child safety initiative called Not One More Child. And it's based on the RAD Kids program. It's also based on a parental component called Samantha's Pride. And that's based on taking, as a lioness would watch over her cubs, we need to keep an eye out on our children, know what's going on in our community, know who is in our community. You know, the issue of sex offenders continues to come up, and it's something that we have to learn to deal with. Not that we can avoid it or say, I don't want them in our community, because that's just not an option anymore. They are there, and it's important to know they are there. But the real important thing is to be able to help our children understand what their options are.
How young should we start in the RAD Kids? When do they tell you to start talking?
You know,
to
they
kids?
will start at preschool and go through the 6th grade. I mean, that learning curve is so important. The younger they get, the more instinctive it can be instilled in them. And really, when your child is faced with a nightmare, you want that instinctive response to tell them or help them understand, I know what my choices are, and this is what I'm going to do. Not, help me, help me. How do I get out of here? Of course, we would want to be there for our children. But really, the bottom line is we need them to know instinctively what they should be doing. And so that's a very important aspect.
These are the types of things you'll be going to be talking about tonight, then?
I will. I'll be talking about that. Another piece that's very important to us is DNA upon felony arrest. For so many of the families, coming to closure seems almost impossible. There are so many cases out there that have gone on for years and years. And when DNA is taken upon felony arrest, in Utah I'm currently working on a piece of legislation that they'll take the DNA at the time of arrest, process it upon probable cause, and get it into the system. So many of these cases can be resolved by basically using the DNA evidence that was initially collected, whether it's years old or not. I understand the Attorney General Van Hollen is sitting there, well, there's all these reasons not to do it. And, the bottom line is the way we can bring closure to these families and stop crimes is by catching them up front. And DNA has become such a very important tool for law enforcement. Without it, we're going to have recriminalization of these criminals over and over. It's just kind of letting them out the door and letting them go on to prey on others. It's the 21st century fingerprint, really. So I would really ask the Attorney General to take the stand that he should and help protect our children and our families.
Well, Mr. Smart, thank you very much for joining us here. And I think the whole nation was elated, as you were, when they found Elizabeth, too. I mean, they were right there with you. And it was just great to see that you never gave up hope. And I think that's one thing that parents should know, too.
Absolutely. I just, we feel so blessed as a family, and we want other families to have the same outcome that we've had.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And don't forget, you can see Mr. Smart's presentation tonight from 7 until 8 at the Fox Valley Technical College's Appleton campus. And for more information, go to our website, fox11online.com. We'll be right back. You're watching Good Day, Wisconsin.